Justice now.
Obstruction
Justice
to
now.
justice. Obstruction to justice. Obstruction to justice. Justice now.
Well, hello, and welcome to another broadcast of Obstruction to Justice. I'm Ann Moles, and you know what we get a chance to talk about on Obstruction to Justice. We talk about politics, current events of the day, whatever's happening, whatever's going on, woke opportunities, and of course, my favorite, business. And we have a great opportunity to talk with a business entrepreneur. He's an accountant, guy that likes numbers. That really is about success in business, huh? Talking about numbers. Brother Uuka Elegba. Welcome, brother Uuka.
Good evening. How you doing?
I'm w I'm well. Forgive me, I have a Southern, Missouri drawl. That's kinda my conversation has a Southern Missouri drawl. Did I pronounce your name right?
Yes, ma'am.
Good, I'm glad. Brother Uga, you are the business owner of Umoja Books and Products there in Lafayette, Louisiana. And, what really kinda got me going and it where I've had an opportunity to meet you, I'm just gonna share how I met you, right?
hmm
So, I have been on this journey of educating myself on the different, situations, a primary situation of what's going on in business, and especially African American business. And one thing that we want to do is, of course, educate ourselves and see what those who have the opportunity to study what they're talking about. Whether or not it's who's what's going on with business. Is business not successful because of the African American community itself? Is should business be more successful and all of that? And what I've discovered is that it is an awakening that is long due. It's long overdue. And it's like, okay, I had an opportunity to have a couple of, YouTube is full of different opportunities to check out progressive people that have a voice for what's going on in the community, the African American community, particularly. So I went out there and I just started listening to some of the interviews that these wonderful people have you given, right? And it's like, okay, well, I ran across a couple that, of course, they have books, and thank God for books, huh?
Yes, ma'am.
Because here you get an opportunity to chat with, chat with people as far as intellectually, because here's something that's studied, that's written, where you can compare, where you can do research, right? So, one of the books that I had gotten first, and I've been talking about it, it's called The Black Tax. I'm not going to let that book go. It is,
hmm
it is a book that has just knocked my socks off because it's given information about the economic, and you being an accountant, a guy that deals with numbers, the economic consequences of African Americans here of course, in America, and why we've been oppressed. So, of course, the cost of being Black in America. And it just talks about the different institutions, economic, financial institutions, more land, all of the different ways that Americans consider having wealth, and then how they've had an opportunity. Those other than African Americans have had the opportunity in laws and in different just different ways to where they've had opportunities of progress. But then when it comes to the African American communities, we don't get that opportunity. And it says, and what can you do to help create the 6 million jobs and 1.4 million businesses that are missing in the Black community? So I started out with that book, but I just wasn't satisfied.
Mhm.
And then I didn't want to, I've been understanding how it is so important to do business with Black companies, Black businesses, African American businesses, giving African Americans the opportunity to earn income and hire other people. So this is the one of the solution. It's is to do business with Black businesses. So I got out there to see, and you did your homework. You were out there on Amazon. I might have started out there, but it's like, I really do want to do business with an African American. So I started looking for the different opportunities and options where I can purchase these other books that I was looking for.
Mhm.
And you were there. Umoja Books and Products.
Thank you.
Yes, you did your homework. You were there. I was able to find you and do business. Now, I will say, guys, I got out there. You're able to order your books online. By the way, let me just go out here. I'm just going to go out here and share the we'll start right there because I want to get more people on here to
Mhm.
save the best for last, not so much the last of it, but I want you to be able to share your what it is that how you got started in it. But I want to let me go out here and share the website, and we'll take a look there. But the website out here, if you go out to the website, and for our podcasters, I want to share too where the website is. It's Umoja. That's UMOJABOOKSTORE.net. So umojabookstore.net is where you want to go. And out there, oh my goodness, brother has lots of great books. He's got lots of great books. And I went out there and I did my search. So it looks good where you do the search, and then you'll be able to pull up the books that you're looking for. And we'll talk about this book here in a little bit, Black Labor, White Wealth. But that was one of the books that I wanted to order, and I was able to do that and then search for my other book. The book came, brother Uuka. The book came, and I was just excited. It came in a timely manner,
Mhm.
came through U.S. Postal Service, which is cool because, I mean, if you have a big enough mailbox, it'll fit. And if not, they'll deliver it. So it was just cool. And I did get it, and I was very excited about it. But here we are when it comes to Emoji Books and Products. Tell us how you got started.
Well, let me take you. Let me basically get an understanding of how this happened. Um, Let me start off by saying that it was my journey through learn more about our history. Um, I was a graduate student at Southern University in Baton Rouge, and I was pursuing my master's in accounting. So I was really getting into the history. I was visiting a lot of there was two bookstores in Baton Rouge, and I was looking at the literature that it had, and I kept on patronizing, going there, back and forth, and so I drew an interest that I know that there was a bookstore in
Hmm.
Lafayette, Louisiana, when I was when I was pursuing my undergraduate. I had gotten my undergraduate from the University of Louisiana at Lafayette, and so I used to go to this bookstore side by side, but that bookstore had closed in Lafayette,
Oh my goodness.
and then there was another bookstore that opened up like in about 95, 96, something like that.
Hmm.
And it only and it only was probably open for about 2 years or so.
Hmm.
So I had this interest. I say, well, the whole thing was is that the bookstore idea. I mean, as far as getting the information to our people and learning about the history and tradition and things of that nature, that's very important. So what I did was I said, well, let me not start by first opening up a storefront. What I did was while I was a graduate student at Southern University, what I started purchasing some books and started as a vendor. So
Hmm.
I started going to various festivals, Essence Festival,
Okay.
different events,
Hmm.
and started selling books to build, get capital and
Hmm.
also build the interest and market the business that and so what happened as I was going to different events, the what it was in particular when I started doing events in Lafayette,
Hmm.
what I there was a interest to say like, why don't you open up a storefront? So that was the ultimate, that was the goal anyway. But you wanted to get that, you wanted to actually get the people receptive to that,
Right.
So I did it that way, and so surely enough, so this went just like I started this like in 97, 98, the vending part,
Hmm.
and then in 2002, I say, well, it's time to have a physical storefront.
All
And
right.
so February 2002, we I just started it up, we started I started it kind of slow in a way where um and uh as the customer built, clientele built up,
Customer base. Hmm.
the customer base built up,
Hmm.
we basically started adding more items and so forth. And so this is where we at. So going strong from since 2002. And the other thing that was unique about the bookstore, because most people when they think of a black bookstore, they just think, you know the black bookstore is like a pillar in the community. It's a little bit bigger because it's connected. So one of the things that I wanted to make sure that was being done with bookstore was to when there's events going on, to help sponsor these events, and
Okay.
also actually host events as well. So as you can see I think it's on the website that kind of lays out some of the things that we have done over the years with the bookstore.
Yeah.
um,
I
so,
saw a
so
few events out there. Hmm.
right. So this is the concept
Yeah.
behind the bookstore, is to be connected with the community and just be very supportive.
There was a couple of things that you mentioned that, um, when you're talking about startup now, a lot of times people don't realize that Nike, the story is told that Nike, the shoe
Mhm.
company, that he actually sold shoes out of the trunk of his car. That's how he got started, right?
Right.
And then even, Bill Gates, and he
Well,
got started in his garage. But what you
mhm,
said too, and this is, one nugget for people that, well, how do I get started? Well, you simply want to get started, but what you did was you went and you purchased books and you became a vendor for your passion, right?
right.
So you went to the different events. That's networking. That's something that's definitely a plus when you're looking to be in business, right? Networking, being in the community, and that really right there with the icing on the cake and the cherry on the top that you shared, being a part of the community. So once you did get the location, you were still a part. You became a strong part of the community. So they already knew you because you were out there in the
Mhm.
community as a vendor, but then had the opportunity to get to know you better by you hosting your company, hosting different events. And of course, that right there is so important. Businesses don't seem to, understand. Like you were saying, there was a couple that went out of business, right? So there were two
Right.
other bookstores that had gone out of business. And why do
Right.
some stay in business and why do some grow and
Well,
continue on?
let me say this. There was one in particular that what happened with this one bookstore, and I was going there just about every week just to try to make sure that it would stay in business. So
Mm-hmm.
even if I just had to buy, I had to find something in that place of business to buy something, you know,
Right.
to do something to show some support. But this business was actually located in the mall,
Mm.
uh,
Overhead.
and what happened was
Mm-hmm.
the overhead was just too much,
Mm-hmm.
and because at that time this mall was kind of it was still thriving because this mall is not in existence right now, but it was still thriving at that time. Uh, to what happened was management decided that they wanted to increase the rent. So when you're not getting
Mm-hmm.
the business and the traffic, and then you're you're going to add more overhead.
Mm-hmm.
So surely enough, that business went out, and the good thing, well, one thing that came out of it, and that one silver lining was the fact that I was able to purchase their merchandise, so they didn't have to.
Okay.
I purchased their entire inventory.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
So it was,
Mm-hmm.
I guess the what it was one. Sometimes when you have that situation, you have to go through this where you're having these clearance sales, trying to get sell this inventory. So I told them, just no, don't, you're not doing the clearance. You just sell it to me. I mean, I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna sell it. So just sell it to me a little bit above your cost
Mm-hmm.
and so forth, so
Yeah.
you can
Mm-hmm.
still make something off of it. And so that's what happened. And what was so interesting about that whole process was that the owners, they wind up being customers for the bookstore too. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, and so I wanted to kind of piggyback on something you mentioned, and that's what I was trying to allude to, is that uh what makes businesses thrive a lot, what we have to be more cognizant of, is the fact that we need to have the necessary relationships. And that's
Mm.
one of the things that when we look at relationship is the hallmark of everything. And that's one of the things that I've learned through studying Dr. Claude Anderson, Dr. Amos Wilson. They talk about how you do when you talk. We say networking and stuff like that, and what we're talking about is building sound relationships. And so that's one of the things that we have to do more of. And so it's one where when you were mentioning being visible, so it was one of the things, like, oh, they would say, like if there was an event, and let's say I didn't attend that event. They said, "What happened to you?"
Mm.
It was expectation
Mhm.
that I should
Mhm.
be present at this event. And what one event in particular in Lafayette that I've been a vendor at, it's been the MLK celebration.
Okay.
Not only that I've been, but a vendor over there, but I'm also a sponsor,
Okay.
a sponsorship as well.
Mhm.
So that's important, because with this with the sponsorship that I take out, that helps to keep
But the
the
cost of the event itself,
going.
yeah.
And that's
Mhm. Yeah, that's really what's important, because the networking, other communities network. And when
Mhm.
I say communities, other people of other nationalities network, right? But when we come together, it seems to be more of a competition, crab barrel type of idealism instead of networking, because there are things, even if we did have the same business, there are types of business, there would be things that I would specialize in that you wouldn't specialize in, or things that you would specialize in that I wouldn't specialize in.
Mhm.
It's there, no two businesses are really the same unless you're doing the McDonald's thing, the franchising. So the uniqueness of business, I think, is really what we should be attracted to, and to support each other. And the fact that you supported that business, and that business every week was a hopeful opportunity for that business. But even still, even though it went on, you were able to pass, they were able to pass on those books. So it didn't go out of business. Really, it just transitioned.
Right.
And
Right.
they had an opportunity. Now they have an opportunity to do something different, and it's transitioned to you. And I will say big ups to you, because you're out there, you have the books, and it is really what's happening. You guys go out there and check it out. Again, it's Umoja Books. Now, Umoja, tell me, I know what Umoja means. I looked it up, but tell us what Umoja means.
Well, Umoja is the principle, one of the principles of the Nguzo Saba. Um, and during Kwanzaa, of course, it's the first principle. It's the
Hmm.
principle meaning unity,
Unity.
and the key is to strive for unity in the family and in the
Mhm,
community, and
mhm,
as well as in the race. So this is the way where we come together and have what we call functional unity, because we're not going to agree on everything, but we
mhm,
should still be able to be respectful even in our disagreements and so forth.
mhm.
And
Yeah.
so unity is so Moshe is that concept where we kind of come together and share and understand our purpose. You know,
Yes.
another principle, which is Nia, is the
It's
other principle.
purpose.
So you see
Mhm,
all the principles of Kwanzaa, how those principles all tie in together. It's like it's hard to talk about one without talking about the other. They
mhm,
very supportive, but I definitely wanted to pick the term emotion because that's what we wanted to promote was unity in the community. So
mhm.
that's how it came about.
That unity is what it's all about, because unity, like what we were saying, unity in the family, unity in the community. If there is no community, mm, or
Right.
if there is a devastated community where the dollar does not circle even one time in the community, it's a devastated community.
Mhm.
So Emoja is a way to remind us that, hey, and I love it, Emoja Bookstore, the unity of really where we need to go. Number one, family. Number two, community. And with that community, to know that there is no community without economics, guys. It's just no community without economics, or we're always on the lower end getting the handouts instead of thriving and building a community where our uh our our legacy can grow from, and we can have a voice, a political voice, an economic voice, because that's where you vote is with that dollar. let,
And
let
oh, I was
Go
going.
ahead. No, no, go
I was
ahead,
going to
go.
chime in and say that's very key point. And one of the things is that what you're talking about is the circulation of the dollar.
Mhm,
And we have to understand that right now we have a disposable income of 1.2 trillion dollars,
mm,
and it just seems like that number keeps on growing each year. Because at one time when I used to talk about this, it was like 600 million. Now it's at
mhm,
1.2 trillion, and we have to be cognizant of that number. What does that number represent? Generally, and just it looks, let's say, like, oh, that's a lot, but it is a lot.
mhm,
But what's more important is the fact that it represents only a fraction of what we're producing,
mm,
because most people don't get paid what they actually produce, right?
mhm,
So it's a fraction, but the key point I really wanted to bring about with this 1.2 trillion is how what we could be doing if we circulated that those dollars better in our community. And that's the part where we need to get to. And I want to say this before I continue. I and I didn't say this. I need to make sure this is done. I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to even discuss this.
Ah,
I got to make
oh.
sure that is because I mean I do have a passion talking about Black economic development because by trade I classify myself as an auditor. I say accountant auditor, but I'm more
Mhm,
on the audit side. And so one of the key things that I see is that we have when I look in our community, it doesn't matter what city I'm in, we have a lot of talents. It's just that
Mhm.
we just have to somehow understand what is our purpose, what are we trying to do, what are we want to make sure that we're trying to work and trying to improve the social economic conditions in our communities. And
Mhm.
so that's the certain things that needs to be done, because you mentioned the fact of the matter that if someone has a business that's similar, and
Mhm.
I'm gonna give you an example of this. There's a business in Lafayette. The business is One Love. That's the name of the business.
Mhm.
This brother, he sells. He used to. Well, he does not. He doesn't sell anymore. He used to sell books. And so we had the conversation. I said, look, it's fine, because books are just like a small thing that something he does, and he knows that I primarily specialize in books. And I told him,
Mhm.
you go ahead and do it. In fact, what happened was that we generally share, how you can say, customers, because if someone goes into his place of business and they're looking
Mhm.
for a particular book, he quickly refers them to me, and vice versa. If someone is looking for some, because he sells a lot of African attire, if
Mhm. Oh,
someone is looking
cool. Yeah, I like your
for,
shirt, by the way.
yeah, if someone is looking to purchase any African attire, then I refer them to One Love.
Mhm.
So this is the way we do it. Now
Mhm.
that's one example, and then in terms of books, well, there's like in Louisiana that I'm familiar with. There's like three bookstores, and the we have more than three. I think it was about four. And there may be some that I may not be aware of, but the ones that I am aware of, I have good relationships with them. And what it is, what happens a lot of time, like if a customer is looking for a particular book and I
Mhm.
don't have them, I give one of the owners a call
Mhm.
and see how they could, if they actually have it in stock. And I tell them, look, don't just just it's your all I want to do is not, like, I just want to satisfy this customer,
Mhm. Yeah.
if
Yeah,
you
and
want
that's
to
great
you want
business.
if
Yeah.
you want to give me a little something off of it, that's fine, but the main thing is I want to make sure that one of us is actually benefiting
Right.
from the
Right.
situation. So that's the key thing of it. And we have maintained this, the owner, that one of the owners that I'm talking about, this is a relationship that dates back 20 years, 20 years. And this is the type of stuff we do all the time. We have conversations in regarding how do we get more people to, more of our people to continue supporting. And some of the things that we talked about is continue to, one, have events that we're doing, um actually, then sales, and just being visible, just
Mhm.
saying that, look, things are, we know that there are other competitors, that things people that have come in the market, because when I first started, this is black bookstores. That was, you weren't going to get any books on black people without going to a black bookstore.
Yeah.
But now we know that,
Wow. Mhm. And
now we know there's a lot
mhm.
more that's going on,
Mhm.
and but but I want to make sure that the listening audience knows that we're, this business right here, Emotion Books and Products. I'm gonna share this. It says, like, in 2013, it was a point where I was thinking, oh man, it was kind of rough. It was,
Mhm.
just to be honest, it was really rough.
Yeah.
But it was my younger brother say, man, you got the passion. You're not gonna even know what to do with yourself if if you don't continue this business. So he gave me an inspiration. Um, so I came up with some creative ways to kind of sustain the bookstore, and one of the key things that I wound up doing was, I the website you see, I created that website myself. I
Mhm.
spent days just working on trying
Mhm.
to get it together, and that's been the really have helped the business.
Mhm.
So not only to have foot traffic, but to have internet traffic as
That's
well.
right. And that's really where business is going. You see what Amazon has done. They've taken everything online. Even with this pandemic, they're trying to shut doors of many businesses in many different states. So really the versatility of going, being online, having the online presence, having the storefront, because you have that great product there. That's really the key. And of course, what you're saying too, the marketing aspect of networking and being visible in the community. So, you just can't lose with that three prong, unless we don't get enough people to know that you're there, and African Americans to support, at least supporting their own communities, community businesses. No matter, now you're way in Lafayette, Louisiana, but it's like, look, brother, it don't matter because he's there and I'm here in Oak Grove, Missouri, the greater Kansas City, Missouri area. It doesn't matter because it's still an African American community. So we have to even think broader, because even now, business itself, it's not local anymore. It's not statewide anymore, national anymore. It's worldwide.
Yes, because in
Mhm.
fact, it's interesting that you brought that up because I just last week I had a customer from Nigeria that purchased a book, and those things happen quite often where I'm shipping books out of this country, and it's all because of like you say, it's everything is moving in that direction. So you have to, one is that I still like the foot traffic,
Yeah.
and I still do marketing to try to get the foot traffic, but at the same time I have to be aware that in order for me to do some of the things that I like doing, and for it's like staying and being involved in the community, I have to make sure that I get the necessary resources to do those things, because
Mhm.
those things, it's one of the things, and there's a goal that I look to do within the next year or so. I'm looking to actually uh, do a scholarship. I would like to give
Okay.
a scholarship.
Mhm.
So I've been looking at that, thinking about that for a while, but I like to give a scholarship,
Mhm.
because that's one of the things that when you see the whole idea of with businesses, you want to be able to give back
Most definitely.
and make a lasting impression on
Yeah.
on someone, so
And we'll talk, because I was just thinking, my girls are into, my daughters. They've always been into, most girls, young people are into fashion and music and everything, so they enjoy themselves. But there was this one pageant that my oldest daughter did, and I was thinking about that today. Big shout out to my oldest and the family in St. Louis. But this pageant was in a little tiny town in Arkansas, Gurdon Lake, Arkansas. And, I was thinking about that, and how, what can we do to give back? And I'd love to have done that. And I'm looking to do that pageant, but where, maybe we could do one there in Lafayette and have one for males and females, best couple, that type of thing. And, just to showcase, the talents. That's another thing, the talents that we have, and not so much just the singing and dancing. Why not come and give a demonstration and a presentation of a business that you have, because I get excited about that. What can we do to share the information and knowledge, and that what you were talking about as far as a scholarship? What a great way, what a fun way. And I'm into hanging out with young people anyway, but that kind of gives me an idea too, to say, hey, scholarship. And the lady that hosted this, Miss Gurdon Lake, Arkansas, she did it, for a while, but why not pick it up and hang out and do it on a different level, maybe a different town, Lafayette, Louisiana type thing, and then it would be an annual thing. I want to go ahead, let me forward, because we can chat, but brother, I would love to have you back on a regular basis, you're definitely welcome to come back. I'd love, because what this gives an opportunity to do too is the, yes, the networking, because you have the books, you have the insight, you have the same similar visions, and that's kind of what we as a community need. We need to glue, we need to gel, we need to talk and say, hey, well, I know so and so because so and so down the street is doing this, and this would be a way to do the networking and still stay empowered and grow your.
Well, can I say
Mhm.
something to that?
Most definitely,
And
yeah.
and one of the key things that I want to emphasize with that, in terms of how we deal with our relationships, the way we the way we're gonna way we grow is to, when we're doing things and we're looking at whether or not I should actually do business with this person, or even if it's not talking about business,
Mhm.
just if it could be from a community organization standpoint, we always have to, what I call, deal it with the pros and the cons, and
Okay.
and you have to weigh it. And a lot of times we'll take one little something where we don't like,
Mhm.
and then it then it's something minor, and not look at all the positives.
Good point. Good point.
That's the things that we have to do. We have to start
Mhm.
balancing things better.
Good point. Folks want to major in minors, little idiosyncrasies that don't even matter. The main point is what's really happening. How supportive and together is that person or community. Because not too many people are rolling up their sleeves, my brother, huh?
Mm.
Not too. Everybody's doing a good talk, but most folks are doing this binge watching, huh? That's what they're doing, binge watching and sofa surfing and armchair quarterbacking.
Well, the thing about that is that we have to get to a point where we uh, work on self.
Oh,
And
yes, we
let me say
do.
this. When I say that is that we have to take time and do some type of introspection, and really, and that's the key thing, and reflect, and so when we go out in the community, we'll be able to have a better level of communication, because a lot of times what happens is that some of us, that when we if we have a regular 9 to 5 job and so
Mm-hmm.
forth,
Yeah,
and whatever transpired at that job, we let a lot of that stuff fester in us, and
that's true.
then we take it out on
Mm-hmm.
other people. And so we have to have that moment where we take time, where not we do a prayer, some type form of meditation,
Mm-hmm.
something that allows us to let kind of release some of that negative
Mm-hmm.
energy,
That's right.
because
That's
because we
true.
because we have too much as a people to
Mm-hmm.
deal with, and
We have a
and
lot to deal
a
with.
lot.
That stress, being in communities where the amenities aren't there. Is you can't just run down the street to one of the grocery stores and
Mhm.
grab something. You have deserts, vegetable deserts. That's where communities don't have the different stores, grocery stores where they can go in and buy something fresh and wholesome. So you're not eating properly. Uh,
Well, well,
yeah.
that right there is very key,
Hmm.
because diet is
Hmm.
very key. Because if you what happens if someone is not getting the iron in their
Hmm.
bodies, and so
Yeah.
forth, they get a little frustrated,
Yeah.
and those things, and then you couple that with um self-hatred that's been
Hmm.
inculcated in many of us, because I tell you, that's why I do a lot of introspection, do a lot of different things during
Yes.
to balance that, because we know that we have, as a people, have been faced with a lot of trauma, and
Everyday trauma. Every
everything.
day.
So you gotta be able to
Hmm.
deal with that. Diet, exercise, prayer, meditation. You have to be
Hmm.
able to deal with these things, and you have to come to a realization that so often is that what happens is that you may be the problem, but you're trying to put it on somebody else. as being desired,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
you have to do that type of reflection and understand how do I what role do I play into this situation.
And even if we understand now, what these Dr. Claude Anderson, has shared in his book is that we really aren't the problem. We've been it and hear me out. We're really not the problem. It's
Mm.
the outside influences and what we have to deal with that
Right.
has created the problem. And so if you're in an environment to where you're last one hired, first one fired,
Mm.
okay, so the little money you done got saved up or whatever is gone because you're gonna have to live off that to try to find another job. The community where you are doesn't have that grocery store where you can go down the street. It doesn't have the amenities to where you can safely go to certain places. Well, here's the thing, we're looking, this is one of the reasons why Black businesses are so important, because where some communities may not, some businesses may not bring in the gas station or the little food stores or the bigger food stores, because people come in, they think it's just not going to be feasible, because people will come in and take from it, and it just rob it in a sense. But here's the thing,
Well, I
even if
think
they don't, then we should try to have something in our own communities to where we can have some type of amenities. But the point is that if the society is set up to where everything is stacked against us,
mhm,
we're having to pay more, we're having to do more, we're having to prove ourselves more, and we don't get the respect even
right.
from each other, to where we're not getting the support to do the business, huh? Here we go. See, you got a book.
Yeah,
See,
post traumatic slave syndrome. What you're
oh
talking
my
about,
goodness,
what you're alluding
you
to,
gonna get all my little
right?
play money, my brother.
Right. So what you're alluding to is that trauma, is the stuff
Mm,
that you deal with. And one of the things is that because we're not in control of our environment.
mhm,
And that's one of the things when you're dealing with Black economic development, you're trying to establish an infrastructure where we could actually
mhm,
have these places where we could actually have that would be more conducive for us.
mhm,
And
mhm,
so we're challenged, and so because we don't have, we're not in control of our environment like we would like it to be. That's
mhm,
why we see a lot of the things that are happening, the violence
mhm.
and all these things that are happening. These are the byproducts of not being able to control your own environment.
Yes. So here comes the frustration.
Mm.
On top of that, there's only so much resources. So within the home, she's tired. She has had to get off and working a job that's not really going to be enough. Then she has the children that she has to parent, because if she doesn't, no one will. And the babysitter has been the TV or whatever. There's so much
Well,
that we have to contend with.
well, and that's one of the reasons why when we see this environment, and people over the years have labeled it as we call white supremacy, and I think
Mhm,
sometimes what happens is that we don't know how we're not aware of how these things are put in motion, of how these things
mhm,
are created, because what we do, because most of us live in a community where we see ourselves, but we're not seeing that there are certain things that put in place to create
mhm,
these
mhm.
different conditions and so forth.
So we think it's normal that that's
So,
just the way
so,
it
so
is,
for
huh?
instance, like, yes, this thing is, yeah, and that's the whole thing, is for you to accept it as being a normal situation. But we have to understand that when you look at think about it like this: there's been many people that have had brilliant ideas about businesses that they wanted to start, but
Mhm,
they couldn't get the necessary financing to get this done. So if you would just think about all the businesses, people that probably have made their transitions over the years, they have if some of these businesses would have gotten started, it would have been very impactful to our communities and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
But because of the uh, redlining practices and
Yes, we
uh,
talked about that on obstruction of justice in the past too,
yeah, the redlining
recently.
practices that
Mm-hmm.
and not being able to obtain the necessary financing
Mm-hmm.
to launch certain businesses and so forth. This has basically allow our community to be stagnant,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and this is why we're that's why I'm man, every time I get a chance, and if like when you mentioned like YouTube, from time to time when I'll go to YouTube and I say, let's see if I can pull up a Dr. Claude Anderson video or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because you know we we have, and I want to make sure I stress this, we have all of the talents
Mm-hmm.
that we have. We could get it done, and
We
but
can
the key thing, some of the key things is it trust. Trust is
trust
trust is a big thing. That
within the family. I say first family unity because there's your emoji, right?
Mhm. Right.
I say first family unity, and then the families can come together within the community and
Mhm.
share too. You know,
Right.
back to your point of what can we do to calm ourselves and to enlighten ourselves. That the enlightenment is kind of what we're looking at. So yes, we're coming from the stress of the day. Yes, we're working the job, the 9 to 5. Yes, we have evening responsibilities, weekend responsibilities, but it's okay. And I tell myself this, it's okay to read a book. It's
Hmm.
okay to sit down with a nice cup of tea or whatever it is you like to chill with and read. It's okay to take moments to breathe and bless yourself and your environment. We're not slaves.
Well, well, well. Let me
Uh,
say this. Let me say this on that note. There, one of the challenges is that with that what we're talking about. First of all, rule number one, you have to recognize that you have this issue. Some
mm,
of us that
okay.
so this is one of the problems that we have. Sometimes we don't recognize it, or even if we recognize it, we
Mm,
use something else to deal with it, and some of it may result in us some people indulging in alcohol or drugs.
okay. Yeah.
So that
Escapism. That's escapism. That's not dealing with
so
it,
it's
huh?
not addressing
Mhm.
that issue that you're dealing with on a personal level. So that's that, and then that creates another issue, another problem itself. So you all you did was have worsened the situation.
Mhm. Mhm. Yes, we have. Brother, before we go, let's chat just a bit. Tell us what In Cobra is.
Okay, NCOBRA is the National Coalition for Blacks for Reparations in America. Basically, it's got started in 1997. Yeah, no, yeah, 19 no, excuse me, 1987. It's got
Okay.
started in 1987, and its primary goal has been to demand reparations on behalf of Black people. And notice I say coalition because it consists of Black organizations and individuals and so forth that's been pushing for and pressing for reparations. So it's and just to understand reparations, we're in the demand that Incorpora is making. It's not just dealing with the chattel enslavement. Most people think, not most people, but some people think some people that's are opponents of reparations
Mhm.
always try to control the narrative in a sense where, well, we don't want to pay for enslavement, or they call it slavery. I call it enslavement
Mhm.
because our
Mhm.
our ancestors were. I use
Yes.
enslavement as opposed to slavery. Uh, so so they always look at that, but when we move from that era of chattel enslavement and then we move into Jim Crow, and then we move into where we're at right now,
Mm-hmm.
we are still faced with injuries,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what Cobra has looked at, is that the injuries. There's 5 injuries that Cobra have featured, and so this is, and these injuries are very key, and one is dealing with education. We
Mm-hmm.
got education, we got health, we got peoplehood and nationhood. Um, we have criminal punishment,
Mm-hmm.
and let's see, there's one I'm missing. Let's see, education, health, criminal punishment. I say, well,
Wealth, that
yeah,
would be one.
and then yeah. So and peoplehood and nationhood. So
Okay.
these are the 5 injury areas, and education. We see how our people have been miseducated over the years, not knowing their history. Because if just think about it, over let me just give one little example: Black Wall Street.
Mm-hmm.
And because it was the centennial celebration this year, most people was like, "Oh, what is happening at?" and stuff like that. And what
Mm-hmm.
was so interesting about that was that every time I used to do a program on the radio, I used to always, this is back in a long years ago, used to always talk about Black Wall Street, but it wasn't just how you say it would kind of like it was like a footnote kind of situation. But now I see that through the years, people are getting a little bit more receptive toward the history.
Yeah.
So, but the key point I wanted to make sure is that just shows the miseducation that we have received,
Mm-hmm.
because have think about what impact that could make on someone's life, to understand that we had a community such as the Greenwood,
Mm-hmm.
which was referred to, that was self-sustaining like that, that
Mm-hmm.
had doctors, how, all those grocery stores able to even just take care of themselves. 11,000 people, being able
Mm.
to
Right.
take care of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the education that we're dealing with, and then we
Mm-hmm.
have the other one that we talked about, health, and
Mm-hmm.
and understanding the issues that, when you look at the all the different eras of time, chattel enslavement, Jim Crow, and to the present day, we
Mm-hmm.
can see the issues that have affected us as a community in dealing with health.
Mm-hmm.
And so we want to make sure that injury areas is properly addressed too,
For
because
sure. For sure.
so got to keep in mind that these injuries are continuing, as we speak. And one in particular that we're dealing with right now is this COVID-19 that has been
Mm-hmm.
devastating to our community. So
Mm-hmm.
we're dealing with that. And then
Yeah.
the other injury area is criminal punishment. And one,
There's a brother that was wrongfully convicted and has spent 11 years in prison, and he has just went through the appeal to be released. The brother wasn't even there,
mhm,
and they convicted him. Uh,
right,
that's what's crazy. Wasn't even there. Hopefully, we'll have a chance to. We'll just share whenever they're ready. But that right there that's just huge. Because that's a part of what slavery is too. To modern day slavery.
right, because you see, I mean, when you, and I know maybe during another time I could delve into a little bit more, because I'm just kind of giving an overview.
Yes, sir.
But
Mm-hmm.
criminal punishment is also in that injury area that we want to get addressed. Is the
Mm-hmm.
fact of when you have these uh, non-violent offenders, serving those years, and a lot of times there's been situations where there were no evidence that even committed these
Mm-hmm.
people even committed the crime.
Wasn't even there. Mm-hmm.
So we have a lot of that, and then even situations where we know, like with the crack cocaine sentencing, we
Yeah,
saw
I
that
remember that.
that was pretty devastating, with 5 grams of crack
Mm-hmm.
compared
Mm-hmm.
to 500 grams of cocaine.
Powder. Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
that was devastating. And now they have reduced it a little bit, but it's still not balanced. So we're
Mhm.
dealing with that. And then the other injury areas dealing with wealth and poverty. We could
Mhm.
clearly understand
Yeah,
that,
that's
and
what we're talking about
that,
even
and
now.
and
How can
that,
we
that
empower
is in the
the
book that you just
communities?
picked up, Black Labor, White Wealth,
Yeah.
and Dr. Claude Anderson lays it out all out how this wealth was amassed on the back of
Mhm.
our ancestors, and
Mhm.
presently, it's
Even now, and that's what the
even now.
black tax is talking about,
So
is
it keeps
that
on. It's an ongoing thing.
mhm.
It just didn't. It started there during enslavement, but it's
Mhm.
still going on.
Still, we paid, they take, and we still continue to pay for their communities.
Hmm.
Okay, the communities that are not of color, still to this day, because of what goes on with the different, what you're sharing. Mhm.
Then the last one, peoplehood and nationhood.
Mhm.
And peoplehood and nationhood is just basically, this is dealing with identity and culture. And this is
Mm,
basically one where we weren't allowed at that time to operate freely as a people, because you remember during the enslavement era, you had situations where people couldn't, if they couldn't be out at certain times.
mhm,
They couldn't congregate. They couldn't do all these different things. They couldn't own businesses because it was black codes and all these
mhm,
different things. So that infringed on our ability to do for self.
mhm.
And so this peoplehood, nationhood, a lot of that stuff carries on today. We're still dealing with these issues. So we want to, so these are the five injury areas. So I just wanted to kind of highlight those things.
And with that highlight, we're going to get a chance. Hopefully, if you will, please, please, please come back,
Mhm.
and we're going to go over. We can definitely go into detail. We talked about a lot today, as far as in giving brief overviews of really what's not only on your heart, what has been going on with you these past 20 some years, huh? I mean, because this is effort that we poured in to the idealism. I just recently started picking up again. I started picking up my books and started looking at what is going on, because I saw that there was something going on. Things just aren't jiving. The economics of what's happening, what's going on here. We're seeing this, and of course, the pandemic has just. It's like Walter Cronkite. You're probably not young enough to remember Walter Cronkite, but
Oh,
I am.
yes. No
And
surprise. I remember.
Walter Walter Cronkite would come on the news every evening, and
Mhm.
he would give the stats of how many US soldiers fell, or actually how many Viet Cong were killed. Okay, so as long as he gave that number, oh boy, we're winning the war, things seemed to be okay. That was the mindset of what it is that they wanted to put in the people's minds, is that okay, well, we're winning. So what I'm hearing, all I hear is black oppression. How we have the most COVID cases, how social economic issues. All I hear is black oppression, and I just got tired. It's like the Walter Cronkite syndrome in my ears. It's like, wait a minute, look, and it's like it's supposed to smooth everything over as long as the African American is on the bottom. They're still on the bottom.
Mhm.
Then everything's okay. No, it's not. Because if your brother is hurting, then you're hurting. And don't think that this pandemic or any issue that's going on is just going to stay in the African American community, because what's good for the goose is good for the gander, and it's coming. The dollar issue, the economics. I mean, how do you trillion all of a sudden come up with trillions of dollars? How do you do that? Uh, but it's not what people think. And I just had to re educate, I had
I
to
think
get
I
in
think
there.
that I think what you just said. I mean, you said a mouthful with that, and that's the key thing that we have to be very aware of. Is the propaganda that's
Yes, that's
over and
what
over
that
again.
is, brother.
and,
Ooh,
and that's why and that's why is very important that we have shows like yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to be able
Yeah.
to actually be able to share positive things that are happening, because we bombarded with all these negative things, and
Negative things.
that is to one, to get into the psyche of our people that we
Mm-hmm.
can't overcome,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the thing that we have to be aware of. And so these things continue, but you also made a good another point, was the you were talking about uh the recognition of where we got to see, like when we're our brothers problems and
Mm-hmm.
our sisters problems,
Yeah.
and that, like, guess what, that's Ujima. That's a principle of the of Kwanzaa, or in Guzu Saba, Ujima,
Mm-hmm.
collective work and responsibility.
Responsibility. I've done the Kwanzaa. We've done some of the Kwanzaa. I
Right.
mean, all of the key points within some of the broadcasts. It is definitely it's a point to where even if you don't want to accept and receive what Christ has done for you, if you don't want to accept that, then you still have a wonderful foundation in Kwanzaa to understand. Now we want to do say, because I am a Christian here, I do want to say this, is that we are to be of good cheer because Christ has overcome the world. God is still in control of all of this. And
Mhm.
he did say in his book of Isaiah that if my people, which are called by my name, will humble themselves and pray and seek my face. He's talking about his face. So we
Mhm.
don't seek the face of government. We don't seek the face of stimulus checks. We don't seek the face of the boss man, or our materialistic ideas in this capitalistic society. He says, be of good cheer. God says that he's overcome. He's already overcome the world. And I always give, that's the hope that helps me to hold on, is to know that God is in control and he's all right. He's got everything. But now we need to know that he's in control and that he's already empowered us to
and that's
be that blessing and be
and that's
blessed.
that's very key.
Hmm.
And that this is that there's a higher power, you know
Yes.
and that's the challenge that we have to always be aware of.
Yes, yes. Reza Singleton, big shout out to you, my sis. She said earlier, evening, good evening, my sis. Reza Singleton says, wow. So God is good. He is good. And wow to our brother here, brother Uuka Elegba. What an elegant name. What an elegant name. Brother, thank you so much. And please come back. Please come back and hang out with us. And I'd like to do this at least once a month, really once every 2 weeks until we've said all we want to say. You're definitely welcome to come back. Let's do this again. Big blessings to you and your efforts there with the Umoja books and products. So he's got some products out there. You guys want to go out there and check out. And of course, the more that you support, the more that can be offered. Just know. And we do want to support Black businesses as well. Big blessings to you and your family. All
Well,
right.
well, again, I have to say it. Thank you greatly for this opportunity, because it's this thing, basically talking the discussion that we had today. This is something that on a like on the when the store, when people come to the store, we some people just come in, they and we just have these different conversations.
Impromptu
Yeah,
conversations.
they're
Yeah.
proper conversation about these issues, and so I'm just saying that I'm very passionate
Yes, you are.
about
Thank
these
you.
issues, and I really thank you for allowing me to you know to discuss some of these issues, and I look forward
Yeah.
to another
Let's
opportunity.
Let's get into some detail about it. Most definitely. Thank you, sir. Thank you. And thank you. We went over a little bit today, but sometimes we just have to. We have to take the time. And
Right.
remember, you take the time. and educate and enlighten. And it's hard. Don't get me wrong. I'll get into it. And I have been just limping my way through because the tears come. The
Right.
tears come when I read these books. The tears come. But
Well, yeah,
I
I
rather
know what
know than
you're talking
not
about.
know.
I know what you're talking about because
Hmm.
we're actually doing this book right here, and I had to put it down, post traumatic
Mm-hmm.
slave syndrome, because what happens is that she gave um
Mm-hmm.
uh it was kind of like example of this mother seeing her daughter being taken away
Mm-hmm.
from the slave master
Mm-hmm.
and not being able to do
Do
anything.
anything about it.
And
Mm-hmm.
she was just saying that these are examples of things that happen, and she talked about the or and you just when you read it, the way she's a good storyteller in that regard, and it's kind of like when I read it, it was like, when I had to put it down because
Mm-hmm.
these things happen, and I've read several books over the years,
Mm-hmm.
but somehow it still gets me.
Yeah.
I
Oh yeah.
It gets me. I
Mm-hmm.
can't. You know.
Yeah, but I rather know than not know. And then once we face it, then we talk about it. And then we don't let others not talk about it and not solve and get to the core of why all of these atrocities are still going on, especially in the African American community. I don't want to say especially Black economics, but with money you can feel that it's okay to where you can raise that child and not abort that child.
Mhm.
With money you feel that it's okay to where you can make sure that your children have, as far as you can live in a safer place and communities can be safer even if they are in the African American community. With money you'll have some dignity to where you can take the time and enlighten yourself by reading books that are enlightened, and it be okay to hear and calm down and not feel so rushed because you're just so tired to where you can eat better. See, with money you can eat a little better, but with that, God has given us the insight on what to do. So all we need to do is just be patient with ourselves, and love him and trust him. You talked about that trust. See, we can go in on another hour. We go in another hour. It just takes time, but we're gonna take the time, my brother. Thank you, brother. Uh, Elegba, Elegba again. Thank
Mhm.
you so much. God bless you, and thank you for joining another broadcast of Obstruction to Justice. Share the link if it's been a blessing to you, if it's been enlightened, and if it's enlightened your thought process, it intrigued you, even for those that might think that they're angry, they don't like what they're hearing. Listen some more. I listen to stuff I don't like what I'm hearing, and let's reason together and be a blessing to where America truly will be that blessed place, that beacon of hope in the world. God bless. And if the Lord says the same, I'll see you next time.
All right.
Justice now. Obstruction to justice. Obstruction to justice. Obstruction to justice. Justice now.